a job without any funds, I'll put it that way. And while I'm talking about funds, Bob, I think it was 600,000 more you used from South Abandon to put in Riley Ranch. Without that, we'd have probably already been laid a lot of people off, because you got a lot of revenue back off of that.
Yeah.
So it's not an LNG or nothing, but it still produced a lot of money for us. And Melissa,
And if I may interrupt, John Rose expanding, so Riley, so we'll
Yes.
have even more income.
okay.
Another loop.
Anyway, I think Melissa's bicycle track has caused a lot of people. She's got a lot of people. I don't think it's producing any revenue, but things like that is better to go out after than an LNG plant that might never get here. And we've counted on it. It's caused some heartache already in the county. But anyway, I want to just say that I appreciate all of that. But the fee increases that we're producing every year is getting way out of hand. It's a tax that doesn't even show up on your tax statement, property tax statement. Just for me, just last week, I paid $600 just to dump roofing from the house. That's a pretty steep piece of thing for a citizen that we already own that dump. And some of that stuff's getting way out. And the same thing I got a straight line adjustment here about 3 or 4 years ago. And time you add the planning fee and the recording fees and everything else, it'll cost you an arm and a leg. So that's all thing. It's not only property tax, but it's still a tax on the citizen. That's one of my complaints. And but I know without the county force, there'd have been a lot of layoffs this past year. I know that for a fact. And I think...
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Layoffs and we only have 4 people working in.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the money that we got out of that forest fund and stuff has helped support the budget.
Sure, yes.
That's what I'm referring to,
Okay.
and I'm sorry if I don't make myself clear. The thing that gets me, we were negotiating with, I think at one time, $11,000 or something. I mean, on the budget, I can't remember what the item was and stuff. And you made a statement, well, maybe the commissioners could take a cut or something, but that didn't go over too well. Anyway, what I'm getting at, the money, how much money was spent on all these fancy gates we got on the county roads, forest roads and stuff now? That I've been here 55 years, 56 years, going in the county forest and stuff, hunting, getting agates, just hiking and everything else. This is the first time I ever saw the county shut down the county forest. And these are my complaints now. What's the most, nobody that I know of wanted to make any complaints about the county forest, logging the county forest a little bit heavy, let's put it that way. Because we were scared that it would cause some layoffs and stuff. But now, since the budget's over, I'm going to say it, what's the most danger to the county forest right now? Clear cutting the damn thing, or letting the citizens be able to go in the forest and hike, hunt, looking out for agates and that, or just, I don't know of any other commissioners in them 55 years that has locked this forest up. And they've always been garbage. They've always been shooting and that kind of stuff. I think it's just crazy to lock the people up. It's paying the taxes and say you can't go in there and use our forest. We're going to put a gate up. So that's what I had to say, and I don't care if you give me a comment or not, but we will start pushing back if you keep locking us out of the forest.
Well, unfortunately, we've had substantial increase in vandalism. Mountains of garbage, as you know, on one of those roads. I mean, it took many, many dumpsters to get the garbage taken away. Trees mowed down to look like somebody was putting in a new county forest road through our trees that we rely on to keep the county going and keep deputies on the road. I mean, it's just a constant. Last Sunday, I was coming from Charleston with my wife, made a loop around. I look over and out in the county forest, and somebody's got about a 6 to 8 foot high fire going right in the middle of one of the landings near the near 101. I'm going, what the heck do they think they're doing?
You know, Bob,
So it unfortunately is management for the 1% people that affects everybody else. But we can't allow to have people damage that forest, which we so rely on for funds.
you know, that's what I'm saying, Bob. In 55, 56 years that I've been there, they've been people that throw garbage in there and do stuff. You got the best forest in the country right now. Maybe it fertilized it, I don't know. But people were doing it clear back then. You had a lot of tires that they throwed in there. And Cam Perry, even when he was here, he wanted to charge everybody, he wanted to start trying to catch them, charge them $1,000 for littering and stuff. I don't know if you remember it.
No, I don't.
And, well, he did. But it never did pass. It never did go anywhere. But that's the easy out when you lock the public out of their own land. That's the easiest thing you can. And I know my 3 minutes is up.
Yeah, I know.
But it's very important that I get to go in my forest.
I
I'll put it to
understand
you
that,
that
but
way.
now, 55 to 60 years ago would be 1960 roughly, 65.
64.
Till
something
about
like that.
20 years ago, you know, we didn't rely so heavily on that county forest. We got typically $14 million back then, which is a whole lot more today, in O&C revenue, which the county relied on, and that's why we have the second lowest tax rate in the state. Now, we are extremely dependent on that county forest for funds without raising property tax. That is extremely important to us. It keeps the deputies on the road, it keeps the surveyor working, et cetera.
Well, Bob, I agree that the people
I don't
should-
like locking it up any more than you do, but it is a valuable resource that is being abused by certain people, which we haven't caught, other than the ones breaking into the solid waste department. But we will one of these days.
Well, like I said, I remember when that county forest, South Ridge, they were grazing cattle and stuff on it. It's trees now. So the
Sure.
forest has improved greatly under the last administrators before you got here. And what I'm getting at, they never locked us out of our own roads.
Mhm.
And I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
John, did you want to say anything?
No.
Hey, Phil. I agree with you that I think we need to have a balance. So I appreciate you bringing it up. I think it's something that commissioners need to be mindful of when we do make those decisions. So thanks for reminding us. Commissioner Sweet will not be able to stay on our whole call today, so he has asked if we could move a couple of agenda items up. Commissioner Sweet, you were requesting 3G be moved up first?
Yes.
Okay, so we will take agenda item 3G, which is discussion regarding short-term rental ban extension. All right, Nat, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the short-term rental ban adopted by the county in Order 20-03014L is set to expire on April 30th, 2020, the end of this month. Draft Order 20-04017L would extend that short-term rental ban until May 15th. If the board determines that it should extend the short-term rental ban currently in place, the board may adopt that order as written or as amended based on the board's discussion. So the first requested action is just a discussion about whether to extend the short-term rental ban or not.
Okay. Discussion?
Well, with the discussion yesterday with the governor, apparently, early next week, they're going to relax a lot of the restrictions that were imposed on her Executive Order 20-12. So for me, I'd like to wait and see what the state's gonna do before we just extend.
I think part of what we need to be mindful of is the fact that only a few coastal counties put a lodging,
Mhm.
short-term lodging restriction in
Mhm,
place.
yeah.
So it's really only what, Clatsop, Tillamook, Lincoln, Curry, and Coos.
Right, the others did not.
The others did not,
The big counties,
Yeah.
Lane and Douglas did not.
right? I would like to see us coordinate any lifting of that lodging restriction. But, you know, we could also discuss potentially relaxing it if facilities have a plan in place that will,
Sure.
you know, protect
Mhm.
spacing.
Do go with all the guidelines of distancing, hand washing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, closure of the
Yeah.
common facilities.
Wipe
I mean,
downs, all that
clearly, the governor's already restricted those, but I mean,
Sure.
we could reiterate, you know, you can't have a pool or a spa or any of that open.
Yeah. So I kinda like to wait till at least next week before we decide whether we're gonna extend or not.
I'm fine with that. We're meeting when we need to,
Mhm.
multiple days a week right now,
We
so,
meet Wednesday, Friday if we have something to discuss.
right,
Last Friday, we didn't meet because we didn't have anything on there that was pressing.
correct. Commissioner Sweet?
Well, I've talked to one of the commissioners in Tillamook County, and they are considering relaxing their short-term stay restrictions. I understand the cities in Tillamook and Clatsop and perhaps Lincoln, I'm not sure, are meeting tomorrow to discuss this very same issue. I talked to the mayor of Bandon. I think there's an interest there in relaxing the short stay restrictions. And I understand that Curry County is planning to relax their restrictions as well.
What do you mean by relax, though? I mean, what
Pardon me?
does relax look like?
I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, it has to do with allowing motels to rent rooms. I know in Bandon they were talking about reopening the motels. So I'd like to act on it soon. I don't want to put it off too long. I don't even mind taking the lead on it. I don't think we necessarily have to wait for the governor to act.
The governor won't act.
We did this on our own. This is
Right.
Restricting short-term stays was a county action, not a state action. And the two counties on the coast that still have their motels open are Douglas and Lane.
Do we have another meeting on the 28th? A board meeting?
No?
Okay.
Yeah, I push for I don't think we have a meeting on the 28th, do we? But
No, Bobby said no.
Or we have one on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
What if we just let this lapse on the 28th?
Pardon me?
What if we just let our order lapse on the 28th?
We could do that, and there'd be no action.
Any-
I'm okay, and see what happens.
I think that
We should probably reach out to the cities and see
First,
what they think, and we could bring this back up at our meeting tomorrow.
yes.
Okay.
yeah, the cities will. I think Bandon will know more about what they want to do tomorrow.
Okay,
So, yeah, I'm not for waiting to the 15th. I would suggest either letting it lapse or extending it to the 8th.
so.
I think it impacts what we might do with our parks as well. I think we should be consistent, open them the same time the motels are are opened. And there's a conversation that Oregon Parks and Recreation is leading tomorrow having to do with reopening their parks
Yeah.
and perhaps ours.
Well, I mean, to me, it's either we extend, to me, I just see this as we either extend it to the 15th or we say we're gonna let it lapse on the 28th. I mean, because we already have a date certain there that businesses may have already been looking at, thinking they would get to reopen at that point.
So.
But I do think discussing this tomorrow would be good. We want to give people as much notice as possible if that is our intent.
I've got so many of these phone conferences that want
Right.
at noon.
At-
At noon? 'Cause we had 'em at
Can we do it at
11 before.
11 instead?
Well, yeah, we can.
If we could.
That's why I'm asking you what time.
I don't know, I think the northern cities are having a meeting on this very subject tomorrow afternoon,
Oh,
and Bandon is waiting to listen in on that before they decide. Perhaps we could do it,
We could do it at our Friday meeting.
perhaps you could do, after that meeting, is there anything could we have a meeting in the late afternoon? Tomorrow?
We could, the state parks reopening calls at 1 o'clock, so yeah, if we did it we could meet at 3.
At 3 o'clock, and then that would hopefully give Bandon time to look into this. And but they want to be consistent with what other coastal cities are doing.
okay.
3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Sounds good for me.
Yeah, 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
Advertise that.
Yeah, we'll
Mhm.
move the noon meeting to 3.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right,
Thank you.
Eldon, did you have a comment?
How many COVID cases does Lane County have now?
I could look, but I don't know off the top of my head.
How many COVID cases does Douglas County have?
I'm not positive off the top of my head. I don't know about Morrow County, Multnomah
How many
County.
cases does Coos County have?
I know that one, they have 2.
If you wanna do this, do it on your own steam.
I'm just not sure there's a direct correlation, Eldon, between short-term lodging restrictions. If it was so efficacious, then it seems that the rest of the state would have joined us in this restriction. Right?
And they didn't.
All right. Any other?
Hey, tomorrow at 3 o'clock?
Yes.
Tomorrow at 3, we'll, continue this discussion anyway. John, did you have another agenda item that you wanted us to make sure?
There's a couple of late agenda items to do with the dump, solid waste.
Okay.
Which
The first
one?
one is agenda item 5A, request approval of contract with Agritech Design, solid waste.
And that is let's do that real quickly. That has to do with closure activities and some recommendations we had from DEQ to do some work, and Agritech is the low bidder, I think, on, maybe the sole bidder on doing that work.
Okay, John's here right now. John?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh,
Pardon me?
sorry, John Rowe, go ahead.
yeah, this one with Agritech, this is for seeding and mulching and fertilizing on our closure waste sites. We had 2 bidders, one was Hurd and one was Agritech. Agritech was quite a bit cheaper at $17,600, and that's who we want to go with.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve and sign contract with Agritech Design in the amount of $17,600.
I will second. Okay, thank you, John. Discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
John, are you voting in favor or against?
I voted aye, sorry.
Okay, didn't hear you.
Covered up.
All right, motion carries. Next agenda item is request approval to reclassify position at solid waste.
Okay, ready?
Yep,
Mhm.
Okay, what our problem is, we've been shorthanded up there, and we want to cross-train basically Anthony, the utility worker, gate attendant, but that position, which states utility worker, gate attendant, does not have any equipment cross-training yet. He can't run equipment. And we have another position out there, just utility worker at pay grade 204, which you can run equipment, so we can have somebody cross-trained. So we've talked to the union about this, and the union wants to basically get rid of the utility worker position and put those activities in that back into the utility worker gate attendant position. So, see what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
So that's what we want to do, which would affect Anthony, and we would move him up to a pay grade 204 instead of a 203, just a small raise.
Okay, move to approve reclassification of utility worker / gate attendant position to pay grade 204 and eliminate utility worker position effective May 1, 2020.
Second.
Discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Our next agenda item is request to post and advertise and fill an equipment operator position.
What do I do with it?
I can read it for you if that's
No,
all
I got it right here. I had it
Okay.
mixed up with the other one.
Okay.
So currently, we're down to one equipment operator since June 20th of last year. We've only had one operator out there. The other operator is now on unpaid leave of absence. So, and we really doubt he's coming back to work up there. So our request is to post and fill for another equipment operator so we can get one up there to help Clint. And if the person who is on unpaid leave of absence right now, if he does come back, then we probably have to lay that person off. But right now, we're hurting really bad. I mean, it's hard on the one operator we have up there. Now, he can't take any time off, basically. We've been filling that position with the road department person, but now we're getting into their busy season. We've tried temporary help, which has been unsuccessful up there. So we'd like to just hire another employee up there as an operator full-time.
Okay, move to
Yeah,
approve and post, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Move to approve, post, advertise, and fill equipment operator position and approve a revised job description at solid waste.
All right. Do we have a second?
Is there an effective date to that? I'd like to make it no earlier than May 1, if there is not.
Okay, I amend my motion to May 1.
All right.
Second.
Discussion? Is May 1 okay with you, John?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is request to waive fees for our brush collection event in May 2020.
Yeah, we'd like to hold another brush event in May, but we want to get this down. We've changed the event a little bit. I'm trying to gear this to household debris only, so we kind of changed the items accepted. You know, the trees, shrubs, grass trimmings, tree limbs, woody, biomass, land clearing, limbs, tops, small diameter logs, bamboo, grapevines, and palm leaves. The trouble we've had in the past, if we're getting commercial loggers in there with logging debris and demolition debris, and it's kind of expanded away from household brush debris, so that's what we want to do on this, and we can kind of change it up a little bit. It's just too hard to handle stumps and try to burn them. It takes a lot of time on our part to deal with it, so.
Right.
Okay, move to approve to allow solid waste department to waive fees for brush from Friday, May 1st, 2020 through Saturday, May 30th, 2020, with the items accepted: shrub, tree, grass trimmings, tree limbs and branches, woody biomass from land clearing, limbs, tops, small diameter logs, bamboo, grapevines, and palm leaves?
Can't palm one,
I didn't know we were in a banana belt here.
I feel like we should really debate this palm leaf issue. Lance?
Are we growing palm
Nothing.
trees in the county forest or something?
Well, I think he's talking about taking over Wolfie Beach and adding it to the rotation.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, oh. They don't grow very fast, though. Have a
True,
longer rotation, maybe.
that's true. All right.
I second it for discussion purposes.
All right, discussion. Commissioner Sweet, did you have a comment?
Yes, I do. I have a little concern. I don't quite know how to address it, but we get a lot of traffic there when we have free brush. And in a time when we're trying to reduce the amount of social interactions, I'm worried about that a little bit.
That's about the only outing people are getting when they're cleaning up around their house because they're restricted to their house.
Yeah.
About the only time they get out to go to solid waste to dump something and then get back home again.
Let me ask John a question. John, can you hear me?
Yes.
When someone comes out there with a load of limbs and things to dispose of, do they have to stop at the gate? Can we just wave them through so we don't have a lot of traffic at the gate?
Oh, we can do that because this is free, so we can instruct Anthony to do that. That would help quite a bit, so he doesn't have to personally talk to them each time.
Talk to them.
So-
And I'm wondering, to that end, if, I don't know, could we make it so that when they do bring brush out, that's the only thing they're bringing? So they're not throwing in a little garbage along with it to make...
That's the way they
Make it
usually
necessary for
bring
them
it
to stop.
out, John. So they usually, if they're hauling brush, I mean, that's all they're usually bringing. And we can put some signs up with arrows where the pile is, so they don't have to point them in the right direction.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it if we do that. I really don't want to create a situation where we're exposing our gate attendant to a lot more traffic than necessary.
Yeah, that's been our concern too. We've been talking about it, so.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Bassendorf Park, Oregon Parks Local Government Playground Grant. John?
Yes, for this grant, we have to do the resolution, approved resolution in order to apply for the grant. So that's
Okay.
what we want to do for this.
Okay. How much is the match?
The match is
35.
$35,000 and the small grants are $70,000. So
Okay.
we may have two chances to do this next year, so this is the first one.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 20-04-069C?
Move to approve.
And a second?
second.
Thank you. And I guess we need to delegate the authority to the Public Works Director to sign the grant application. I'm not sure if that's in
Mhm.
here.
Modify the improvement to Public Works Director to sign the grant application.
All right.
Second approves that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I
Thank
have a late
What?
agenda. We just had a maintenance worker 4 resign. and we
Hold on
wanna
just a
fill
second.
that position.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve having a late agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. I have to warn you that the rest of the department heads may not be looking upon all of this favorably. I'm just guessing. All right, you just had somebody resign?
Yes.
All right,
So we'd like to post and fill a maintenance worker for step 1. as soon as possible, basically.
Okay,
Okay, move to approve, to post, advertise, and fill vacant maintenance workers for position for the road department.
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. That appears to be it
That's
for
it
John.
for-
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Now we will go back to agenda item 3A, request approval of resolutions for working out of class, Coos Health and Wellness.
Hello, we have
Mike.
2 workers, Linda Vineyard and Donna Nelms, that are working out of class in the ICS structure for the COVID response, and we would like to request a retroactive raise for those 2 people back to March 1st.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve resolution 20-04-059P? I will make the motion.
Well, you didn't finish, that's why I was waiting. And 2004-060P.
Well, what if you want to approve one and not the other?
I want to do both at the same
All
time.
right, and 2004-060P.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those
I
in
don't
favor?
care.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next agenda item, request Board of Commissioners approve reclassification for the Public Health Emergency Manager position.
So this is a request for the Public Emergency Management Program Manager to be more in line with the County Emergency Manager position.
Okay,
Well,
Is-
okay, move to approve reclassification of Public Health Emergency Preparedness Manager position, pay grade 706, and effective May 1, 2020, for discussion.
okay.
Second.
All right, discussion?
So why would it be in line with the County Emergency Preparedness Manager when the one for the county takes the entire county versus just Health and Wellness Department?
Well, it appears that if it's a pandemic, they're doing county-level work, because at the time that you have more than the department involved, it is an EOC and not an AOC.
Okay. But if it's a specific department doing the EOC versus EOC for the county, which takes in all 24 departments plus
Mhm.
whatever else, I don't see how it would be the same. I'm having trouble.
Okay.
Maybe it's just me.
I think we just might need to relook at this in light of the budget decision we made last week
Uh-huh.
to have Gabe take over emergency
Yeah.
management functions. I mean, we probably need Caroline to look at it and make a determination about pay equity, because this was
Okay.
put in before that change happened. And I feel like maybe that's changed the situation now, or at least how we need to look at it, so.
Because we now have a county-wide EOC director.
Well, we have a
Okay.
combined sheriff's
Well, we
captain
combined
and
it
EOC
with the
director.
captain's position
Okay,
at the sheriff's office,
Okay.
which saved us $81,000, by the way.
well, good.
We were looking for every dollar we could find to balance the general fund budget.
I hear you.
So we want to have Carolyn go through this first?
If we could, yeah.
That would be great.
Thank you,
I
Caroline.
like
I'd
that
feel
idea.
better about it.
Yeah,
Okay,
not a problem.
thank you very much,
Thank you
Mike.
very much.
And then, that's it for you, right?
Yep.
Nope. Thank you. All right, the next item is award of timber sale, Forestry Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So pursuant to advertisements published in the World newspaper, timber sale was held on April 8th, 2020. 3 sales were put out for bids. The TED E-sale BH 2-20 received a minimum set prices for CLR Timber Holdings, Inc. Request action, please award timber sale BH 2-20 to CLR Timber Holdings, Inc. And sign the attached contracts.
Okay.
Move to award timber sale BH-2-20 to CLR Timber Holdings, Inc. and sign the attached contracts. And grant award was $1,664,499.
All right. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lance. No late items for you either, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Melissa, I need to get off of here. Thank you for letting me go. Bye-bye.
Wait, I didn't say okay. You're just going.
All right.
Hi, John.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Chair wasn't gonna let him go, huh?
Well, there seemed to be an assumption that I was gonna.
I like that leadership.
Okay, next agenda item is transfer of appropriations to cover over aggregate cap medical expenses.
The jail received the following invoice. I believe you have a copy from our medical provider, WellPath, on March 30th, 2020 for $594, which is over the cap expense, invoice number 0063566. The jail is not budgeted for the over cap medical expenses and requested transfer appropriations to cover this invoice. This is in light of what we did last year to get a better handle on watching what's going on. We
Right.
request the board approve appropriation transfer in the amount of $594 to WellPath for the invoice named above.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Resolution 20-04-067B, appropriations transfer in the amount of $594 to pay WellPath invoice INV 0063566.
All right, I will second. Discussion? We appreciate you continuing to keep us updated on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. Order 20-04-015B, cancellation of uncollectible personal property taxes.
ORS 311-790 and ORS 311-795-3 allows the cancellation of personal property taxes that have been determined to be uncollectible. And there is some detail about why they're uncollectible. The businesses have closed or the manufactured structure is no longer there.
Okay.
Move to approve order -20-04-15B.
All right, and I will second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item is 10 Mile Lakes Basin Partnership, request for funding for algae testing.
I talked to the manager for TLVP yesterday. They have decided that they will only test twice this fall, so August and probably October, November sometime. And they still have a limited amount of funds that they could complete those two tests with, so they don't need the county to contribute $3,000 until maybe next year.
Okay,
So we could pull this.
all right, perfect, thank you. We did the short-term rental ban.
Move to
discussion.
approve the consent calendar, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Brian, modification to original IGA between Coos Douglas detention bed rental, section 3A, base cost for guaranteed beds, and request signature.
Yes. Brian Baird, Coos County Juvenile Department. I am requesting an increase of $10,629 to my contract in Douglas County that rents detention beds, and then the three other programs. There's a shelter, there's a boys program, there's a girls program there. Basically, in the 9 years we've rented beds there, they've never raised the price. They were going to raise it. I indicated previously last year that I thought they were going to raise it. It didn't go through last year. They are asking for a 7% increase this year. That is the $10,629 that I would ask for you to increase.
Okay.
Other than that, the contract stays exactly the same.
Okay. Commissioner, would you like to make a
Oh,
motion?
I'm reading here, I'm sorry. Move to approve the modification between Coos Douglas Detention Shelter Bed Rental IGA Section 3A to increase the rate to $13,539.50 per month for 4 guaranteed beds for juvenile, for a total cost of $162,474 for the physical year 2021. And I guess request the signature of the chair.
It is not just for the chair.
Okay. Modify it, it's not for the chair, even though it kind of says that.
Does it include the chair? You are. Oh, there you go. All right, I'll second that motion. Hopefully we got that one down just right.
So what my question is, did this come up during our budget hearing?
When I budgeted this, I
Okay.
did budget this amount.
All right,
This
I
is exactly what I
didn't
turned
remember
in.
this. I remember you talking about it being the same for many years, but,
So, part of my
Mhm.
barrier with this is frankly, the more attorneys you get involved, the more complicated it gets.
really?
So there was a discussion.
I
of
don't
whether
think
this
that's
needed-
true, Nat.
Whether it
What do
needed
you
to start
think? Is
off
that
in Douglas
true?
County and go through their legal and then come here, and then who's gonna sign in what order, and those sorts of things. So, to the best of my knowledge, we have that worked out. This has been a long, drawn-out process on who's doing what for.
I was just thinking we should poll the audience whether that's true, just other than you two.
I think we'll just pull the bench. All right, on that note, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And my next agenda item is request reduced redemption period for foreclosure property at 940 North Collier.
Morning.
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 So we have this property that the neighbors have called us on several occasions wanting to know what's going on with it, where it's at in the process. It is something that would deed to the county in September of 2021. The owner is deceased as of 2018. The Coos, the Cocoa Police Department's had several calls on this. They do drive-bys all the time where they get out, walk the premises, make sure that everything's working. They have locked up the home and posted signs. I attached pictures. I believe that you may have gotten those. But I do have some if you would like to see.
I have them. They have them.
Do
Do you
they?
have them, Bob?
I
I
think
know
I
Nat
saw a
has, but I
picture
don't
of
know
a,
that Bob has seen those pictures. We're basically just wanting to help the neighbors out here. There's lots of people that come and go from that. The neighbors surrounding them are single and or widowed elderly people that live in that neighborhood, and we just want to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the citizens that are remaining there and keep them safe.
Plus, of course, we have an obligation to, prevent
Yeah.
waste whenever we can and try to protect the
Exactly.
value of the foreclosure asset.
There's a problem with vermin as well, rats and raccoons
Raccoons
and
and,
things like
I saw the raccoon. I thought it was kind of cute. Maybe a little.
Yeah.
It's a
Maybe a
wildlife
little
sanctuary.
scrap.
that.
Yeah.
Cuter when it's in someone
I
else's
wasn't sure how
backyard.
she got
Absolutely.
that picture so easily. But anyway, yes, there's been lots of issue with garbage and, like you said, vermin. And, we just want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can within our limits and
Absolutely.
keeping the property up.
so it says request reduce the redemption period.
Mhm.
So-
From what to what?
So what we're asking for here really is just an authorization for our tax collector to get the lien report on the property and have everything prepared as something that we want to go forward with. At that point, we'll put an order before the board that will set a hearing on
Okay.
reducing the redemption period. If the board at that hearing decides that it is appropriate to reduce the redemption period because the property is subject to waste or abandonment, there'll be a 30-day redemption period in which the a property owner or lien holder could redeem the property. And if they don't, then it would deed to the county.
Okay, so I move to authorize the tax collector to conduct a lien search on this property at 940 North Collier, Coquille.
I will second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just gonna mention that'll make a nice house for somebody someday if it does go through the foreclosure process.
Yes.
They'll be able to purchase it from our tax foreclosed properties auction. It is, it's a nice location. Yeah. And our last late agenda item is request to advertise and post until filled commercial industrial property appraiser. It's like being the last one at the dance, Steve.
Steve Jansen, the county assessor. Like the road department, we unfortunately had a resignation. More unfortunately, ours was the day before budget hearing, and the committee chose not to refill that position. Unfortunately, that person has been for about a year in training to be our new commercial industrial appraiser. The current commercial industrial appraiser gave us notice yesterday that he'll retire on 1st of August. Now that position is responsible for the appraisal maintenance of about 20.5% of all of our assessed value in the county. Currently, we don't have anyone else that can fill that position. It is a more intensive, requires more intensive background and training to do that appraisal. And unfortunately, when I printed off the agenda item, it came up a blank page, and I don't have it to read from. But we'd like to advertise, post, and fill that position now, so we can get as much training accomplished before our current commercial industrial appraiser retires. Generally, it's about a year training to be competent, and about a year and a half to 2 years to be proficient. We have until August to get as much training out of the departing, retiring appraiser as we can. We'd like to post and fill that now.
Are you going to have the money to cover it for that month of July?
We'll have it.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Well, I was just wondering, does DOR still train
Very little.
for everybody else, Department of Revenue?
They do provide some training, but with the COVID-19, they've stopped all training. We have some online training we already have set up that we've already paid for the person who resigned, and we'll just change that over if we can get somebody in as soon as possible. And it's specialty training on appraising mobile homes and mobile home parks.
You're thinking somebody internally or externally, or do you know?
We've already pulled all the internal appraisers, and nobody wants to touch that job. It's so intense, and so it's hard to do.
I don't know, I always thought it was fairly easy, but okay.
You got some time on your hands, we'll make a room for you.
Well, after May 19th, I may be applying. Who knows?
I wouldn't do it, Steve.
It's,
Melissa, now you stay out. You're trying to influence me.
Yes.
Might
We might
just
wanna
pass
see
the
what he's been doing
background,
for
is
the
what they're
last
saying.
8 years at least.
well, seriously, if you'd be interested in,
No, not at all.
part-time
I'm just
work.
kidding
doesn't pay much.
you. Yeah.
I move to approve the request to advertise, post, and fill the commercial industrial property appraiser position.
I second reluctantly.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding you.
Discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Is it too early to ask to refill that position for the one who resigned?
It's gone.
Yeah.
You no longer have that spot.
Okay.
We did that with district attorney too.
But not the road department.
Well, they're not the
They're-
general fund, though,
They're dedicated funds.
unfortunately.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
where we had the big deficit.
Yeah,
When the last day rolled around with the DA and the juvenile and the sheriff, we were 1,861,000 short, yeah.
I was here.
And we squeaked by this year,
Yep.
yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, commissioner comments.
I guess yesterday, I participated with all the rest of the commissioners across the state with a discussion, 2-hour discussion, I guess, with the governor and the governor's office about where we could refine processes with the counties.
Yes.
One of them I brought up was, I want all prisoners to be thoroughly medically tested before they transfer. The only 2 cases we've had are at Shutter Creek. That
Mhm.
does not set well with me. They transfer people, and then they transfer them back out the next day, which exposed all the people who work there, which are all basically, you know, Coos County and Western Douglas County employees. That doesn't set good with me. And then I asked also, could the governor relax on elective surgery?
Mhm.
Hospitals are having a hard time making ends meet. They don't have as many patients here, none, but they can't do elective surgeries, so why not? I mean, we don't have any real cases.
What was the PPE issue was why?
I understand that, but with, you know, masks and all that stuff, but that,
Yeah.
apparently, we had taken some deliveries. National Guard has handed them out.
Yep.
By county, so we have some more of those for our medical or healthcare workers. What else did I ask?
You asked, hold on.
About the opening, partial opening of RV parks, hotel motels, and county parks
You asked if they could be open to residents
on a
or,
limited basis for local
got these questions
residences,
right here.
local people at least,
Mhm.
if not statewide, but local people, so that local people can go to the county parks again. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's the parks reopening plan
Yeah.
meeting tomorrow at 1.
Yeah, I know, but
Did you see that Gina sent out a spreadsheet of all the questions that were asked along with the answers?
no, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
I think that came out this morning,
Okay.
so.
I was on the phone with various folks who were calling this morning. We were, one of the more important calls this morning, about 7:30, was with Ray Buhager, our lobbyist in Washington DC, about trying to find a grant for our defunct radio system again.
Yeah,
It's on the ballot coming up in May 19th, but we've looked for 2 years to try and find grants and can't. But hopefully, maybe this pandemic will have a silver lining in it where we can get a grant to repair our radio system without, you know, asking for a levy.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Desiree, did you have a question for Bob?
I just had information that was on a previous question that was asked, and the answer was Douglas County has 22 cases and Lane County has 48 cases.
Yeah, I was gonna cover that when I do my comments too. No, thank you.
That's about it. I mean, we've had our
We had budget all last week.
tri-weekly meetings and budget all last week, which was really trying for me. I mean, the last day, the night before, I woke up 3 times in the night trying to figure out how we're gonna balance the budget in the general fund. It wasn't pretty. And with that, it's all yours.
Did you sleep better since we balanced the
I
budget?
did,
Good.
much better, yeah.
So Thursday night was a good night?
Yeah, last night was pretty good too.
Good.
Did you guys say anything about, before I got here, about meeting about that timber money that said the paper was coming?
What timber money is coming?
Our SRS fund.
Oh, yeah, well, that was already figured in.
Just figured it
The
out.
1.4 something, which we got less than last year.
Yeah.
It was a
Yes,
reduction
which
every
we
year.
used to get 14 million way back when, which was a real 14 million, instead of the the inflated 1.4 that we got as a handout on the
This
SRS
is what
funding?
we're in.
Yes, that was already in the budget, but still we had $1,861,000 short.
I was hoping that maybe we get a little bit for the sheriff's department.
Well, that was already figured in. Yeah. That's kind of old news, the newspaper had, I guess, or whoever had it. We've known about it for a couple of weeks.
So the National Association of Counties held a call on Saturday afternoon to discuss the potential stimulus funding that was coming out. Counties have been officially left out of that stimulus
course.
funding.
Because it was populations over 500,000.
Well, no, that was bill number 3.
Well, I
Bill
know,
number
but
3.5, which is the one that's going to be voted on this week, included, well, the Democrats were pushing for $29.5 billion for funding for counties and $29.5 billion for cities.
Cities, yeah.
And so for Coos County, that would have worked out to about $5 million. That would have been money to allow us to offset our losses. The CARES Act funding doesn't allow us to offset any losses that we've had due to COVID-19. It was not included in this package. The White House feels that it would encourage the counties not to reopen if we were given funding to help offset our losses.
But the
So-
ones over 500,000 would reopen no matter what, because they got money? Never mind.
I don't know. You're welcome to
That
ask those
bothers me.
questions. So anyway, NACO had another call yesterday afternoon that I also attended, and there will be I guess there's a 4th bill that's being worked on. This one is being called 3.5, the one's being voted on this week. It includes reauthorizations for the Payroll Protection Act and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So it's really more of a small business bill.
Right.
The next bill, if there is another stimulus bill, tentatively will include funding for cities and counties under 500,000 direct funding. But it is important that we reach out to our representatives and let them know how we feel. And we sent a letter yesterday, and that's just where that's at. I don't know, there's a lot more information to give on that.
To Representative Fazio, who's the chair,
Well, represent all of this,
Okay.
the Oregon State
especially
delegation.
him,
We sent it to all the Oregon State
being the
delegation.
chair.
Actually, it's especially Walden right now, frankly, because
you.
it's the Republicans that are really hesitant to give funding to state, to cities and county governments. So, we need to reach out, if we know anybody in Republican leadership especially, which there's nobody from our state that's in Republican leadership. But that's where it's at. And then, as Desiree mentioned, I was also curious about those numbers after Eldon asked. I looked them up on the state's GIS map of their coronavirus cases, which is really handy, but it also does it as a percentage of population, which I thought was probably more helpful because Lane County has a lot more people than we do, and so does Douglas County. So for Douglas County, their incidence rate is 0.02%. For Lane, it's 0.01%. For Lincoln County, it's 0.01%. For Curry County, it's 0.02%. For Tillamook County, it's 0.02%. For Clatsop County, it's 0.02%. And for Coos, it's 0.001%. And that, of course, is just the incidence of positive tests. There's no way to know how many people have it and have not been tested or anything else. But I don't know that that gives us any statistically relevant data about it being more dangerous if the hotels are open or not.
Well, seeing on the news, whatever you call the news these days, apparently when they're doing the testing, they're finding out that a lot of people didn't even know they had it, but they have antibodies in their system. So there was a great many more people had it before this whole pandemic thing basically shut down the United States and most of the world. People had it and didn't even know it. They thought maybe had a cold or whatever. Got over it in a few days. Instead of extreme severity where I understand some people are on the ventilator for a month or two before they can get off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That would not be good.
That would not be. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, wait,
What?
did,
Oh, I guess not.
I missed, did you ever have public comment?
yes,
Long
at the
time
beginning.
ago.
Well, I was supposed to start at 9:30 and I was just here 2 minutes past.
What, it's.
No, you weren't. It's 10:35 right now.
It's 10:30 now.
Huh?
You were an hour late, Frank.
My clock must be off.
Did you, did you forget
Yes,
to?
we'll let
to
you give comment.
Spring forward?
Hold on just a second. Eldon, did you have a question?
As far as whether or not it's a legitimate health concern, there are somewhere between 30 and 40,000 victims whose families and friends are quite certain it's a legitimate health concern in this country alone.
I don't think any of us think it's not a legitimate health concern. I don't think any of us are arguing that it's not a legitimate health concern.
So, and you're very concerned about the state sending a prisoner down to Shutter Creek who had the COVID, but you're unconcerned, or seem to be relatively unconcerned, about somebody popping in from parts unknown, spending a night or a weekend in a motel in Coos County, heading off of parts unknown, and leaving workers in Coos County to disinfect the motel room on a nightly basis, and then go home to their families.
Thanks, Eldon. We're actually not under martial law, and the hotels are open. They're open to essential workers right now and people that are having to travel through. What I was trying to point out when I read out those statistics is there doesn't appear to be a statistically relevant difference between counties that have shut down short-term lodging and counties that haven't. Go ahead.
I apologize, I must have set my watch down by my magnetic bracelet. It happened before my other watch started working as soon as that magnetic went off. But anyway, I got some stuff, this is my opinion, the politics is what or why so many people died. If you watch the news, knew that Como has been on there morning, noon, and night. Now, he knew before in January, and they have 600 events back there in New York. They have the subways, and they have 2 international airports. It's probably the worst of worst, and it's put fear clear across the United States. We have grandparents right now that's afraid to hug their grandchildren, for crying out loud. In my opinion, what should have done, the hot spots, the big cities, and the international air travel is what should have been shut down to begin with. But guess what? That's where your voters are. It'd be like political suicide if you went after them. So they shut down everybody. And I can't. It's just astronomical what's happening. This morning's news, it recorded in the USA, under 43,000 have died in the U.S. Well, I've got some statistics here. 85% of the death certificates in New York said was probable cause was the virus. 75% of the deaths was in New York at one time. Here's within a week ago. And the projected projections now at 60,000, which we were at, I said just under 43,000. Did you know that in 2019, 67,000 people died from drugs, 88,000 died from alcohol, 83,000 died from diabetes, 60,000 from cancer, 50,000 from suicide, and it goes on and on and on. Thousands and thousands of people. You got heart problems, respiratory problems, kidney problems. Finally, Saturday night, 2 doctors come on Fox News. They said we couldn't stand it anymore. All this misinformation has been put out by some of these guys that call themselves doctors. You know, some of these people had heart problems and other medical problems. They probably would have died anyway, or they died from that problem other than this year. April in Oregon, April 7th, in Oregon, we only had 38 died. And I think somebody said 70. They have sites go on there. I don't go on it all the time. Anyway, I think it's time to put people back to work. It's time to put people back to work. It's craziness. It should never happen to begin with. For them to shut down all these residents, they're dumping milk, for crying out loud, because the restaurants are closed. And they say that they're discriminating against bars. Bars serve food too. And not only that, in Coos County, that's where your bands are. That's a form of social activity, like the casino. They serve food in there where the bar is. Most bars do. So it should go back and should be no restrictions. I mean, people die all the time. I'm used to it, I guess, because I'm a farmer and a rancher. I understand it. The weak die off. If you have something and you go in there and it stresses you out, you have a good chance of dying. And a lot of these people was elderly, they had other problems. And that's what these two doctors brought out. And it's still about everybody that gets that is going to get their lungs burned out, just like the gal says. No, that's not true. Very few people that's happened to. So, we've got so much misinformation about this. And I don't know why, we must have been on the fake news about toilet paper, because every time you go in Fred Meyer's, it's there in the morning and at night it's gone. And it's still gone, day after day after day. You see these people getting groceries, and there'll always be a roll of toilet paper down there every time.
Well, you can thank loggers for bringing the logs in to get processed to make
Yeah.
TP.
It's made, and there's another thing, the truck stops. She closed down all the truck stop restaurants. That was wrong. I don't know, it's astronomical what's happened and how people can believe this news. About 50-some stations are owned by a certain party. You know which one it is. And they put out a lot of fake news and a lot of scare taxis that come on down. And, I like to kind of know what I'm talking about and like to see the experts. Just because it's a news commentator and it's their opinion, it's just like my opinion, take it for what it is. But I do studies on this stuff because when I do my talk shows, I like to be accurate. And I'd like you to come down and do a show before you start the selection process. I see your signs out all over. If you'd like to come and do a show, we're there.
It's a great idea. You should.
You too.
And Melissa, you too. And Melissa, when you go up I'd like to be sitting in that chair. I really would.
This chair?
Yeah.
That's up to Bob and
When you
John.
go back up. Well, I'd like to put my hat in the ring for that. I don't know, this Congress seems to throw money. You can't throw money at that and heal and stop the virus. It's ridiculous. That's our tax dollars. And I hear people, I know up in Woodburn, a guy got a check and he's working all the time. I hear another person standing in the counter at Fred Meyer's the other night says, I still haven't got my check. There's other people says, I've never filed for taxes and I'm wondering if I'm going to get my check. Well, government has no money except when we send them. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say today. Other than, Coos County is known for being the largest meth cooking county in the state of Oregon. And Oregon is pretty much known for its drug use.
I thought they took all that off.
Huh?
When they changed the lack of better term, antihistamines, Sudafed stuff, they took it all off the market and made it prescription only. Now,
No, that's opioids.
No,
Opioids.
No, but it now comes from the Far East. Most of or Mexico, the methamphetamine comes from those two areas.
I happen to know we have cooking going on right in Coos County.
Okay, you can talk to the sheriff right over there.
Yeah. Sheriff's hands is tied.
Not
He's
really.
got a limited budget, and he only has so much has had so much jail room. His hands is tied. Some of the things has to be catch and release.
I think you'd be highly interested in.
Well, his hands is tied on some of it, I know that. And I know that I've talked to somebody from the prisons. He says, we got a lot of people going up there from Coos County and have had. And it's like, don't send any more people up here. You're sending too many people. So what's the sheriff to do? Say, don't rob a bank this week, I got my quota? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what's going on.
All right, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
All right, that's it.
Thank you very
I think
much.
I think that we need to open up Oregon, and I think there's going to be a rally on the 2nd on the boardwalk. Rob Taylor's going to have a rally.
As long as there's not more than 10 people there, I suppose that's fine. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't care how much the bill is, it's never good.
hospital on Friday. You know, they checked my temperature, and I got, I could be at the log. Anyway, you go in there, and a lot of the people working in there, doctors and stuff, they don't have no mask on. Yeah, I mean, I thought, man, if they're worried, you know, but you see somebody wheeling a wheelchair down the aisle, and they parked them, they didn't take them, wipe them off, but they went over and wiped their hands off with sanitizer.
You're okay with signing?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I did get a call from,
But a lot of their tests, they have.
and I almost called
Daughter-in-law there, that's why.
I thought you might.
They haven't got a test, they didn't get them back. I mean, you know,
I know, it's taken a while to get them back, and then there's also